Hey, Kitty Wolf 13 and Ringo here. I'm coming to you today with a PSA and an announcement. And enjoy some Angel Region toes that are in the corner of this video because I'm using my Angel Region Dana as a tripod for my phone. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys about supporting what you love. Obviously, the BJD hobby is all about what we love. We love doing face-ups, we love doing photography, we love doing having doll meetups, finding really cool crafts and all sorts of stuff like that. It's all about the love. And I, since the beginning of the hobby, have always enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed the idea that I could go to a meetup, wherever it may be, with hundreds of strangers, possibly, if it was a big convention like I did IDEX one year, that was in Orlando, Florida. And there was always this one thing that all of us would be able to talk about. And that was our love for the dolls. Maybe some people like just collecting them and putting them on a shelf. Maybe some guys like to completely wipe their doll and make it completely their own by doing the eyes, the wigs, the face-up, the clothes, anything, you name it. And I think that's the magical thing about this hobby. And the hobby's been going, I would say it's been going strong for at least 1995, I think, is when some of the first Volks dolls started showing up in the US. I could be wrong. I'm no history major or expert in the BJD world by any means, but I've been in the hobby since 2006, and that's 10 years, and it's been, 10 years is a decent time to see some trends. I've seen wonderful acts of kindness, like Ringo here. He was a wonderful act of kindness from somebody on Den of Angels. I have seen not so nice things that I won't go into. I keep looking at my fish tank. I'm sorry. My water pigs are distracting me. And I don't know. I don't know really what I'm getting at. I feel the need to talk about this before I go into my announcement. But it's not because I want to pander to the audience or get more attention for my announcement. It's basically just because I feel like there's a possibility that people in general have lost sight of the things they love, or have lost maybe a little touch of what makes this hobby so special. And I would hate for the people who enjoy this hobby to lose sight of that. I have a very small, close-knit group of BJD club, I guess you could say. It's a little local club. And by local, I really mean, like, there's like 5 of us, and we're spread across, like, the lower half of Florida, because we started off all in the same area, and one moved, like, to the other coast, and one's, like, 40 minutes away, and the other one's an hour away. So for me, it's always been a struggle to get together with a large group of BJDs. I could say the only time I've ever been able to go to anything that would be remotely considered a BJD convention would be IDEX, which is an International Doll and Teddy Exposition, I believe is what it stood for, something along those lines. And it was mostly for vendors and not so much for the public, but like Barbie convention and some other doll conventions like IFTC and stuff like that. No, not IFTC. But like Barbie convention, for example, was not open to the public except for one day, I think, out of the entire show. And it was really cool to walk into this huge hotel and see a whole bunch of people in the lobby waiting for the panel room to open up or the dealer's room to open up, just sitting around at tables, holding a doll, Whether it was BJD, it could have been a reborn, because IDEX covered reborns and teddy bears and porcelain dolls, as well as BJDs, because BJDs were fairly new to the American market at that point. And it was just really cool to be able to walk in, see somebody's doll on the table, maybe it was a mini Fishushu, and walk over to them and be like, hey, your doll's really pretty. Is it this? And start up a conversation, and before you know it, you've spent a half an hour talking to this complete total stranger, who now is no longer a stranger, about their doll and the similarities of what you love in the hobby. That being said, I feel it's important to support what you love. I feel it's important to encourage new BJDists. Sure, this is not a hobby for everyone. That's what I always hear all the time. It is an expensive hobby, and let's face it, I'm probably out of the financial bracket that I used to be in when I first started. I probably shouldn't be collecting them anymore, and Lord knows I have enough that I don't need to. But it's part of what I enjoy, so I guess what I'm saying with that is that we really shouldn't turn people away from being either too young or not having enough money. I'm not saying we need to hand things out to people either, but I digress. Ever since I started the hobby, especially since Ringo was an act of kindness and started this whole entire crazy hobby for me in the first place, feel that we as BJD collectors need to foster the love and support that when I started the hobby was there. And I feel like as time goes on, as the economy gets harder, as people suffer from lack of funds or anything like that, we lose sight of it, and it's very easy to go, well, you can't do it, oh well. And I don't feel like that's right. I was always the person who would go to the doll meet and be like, here, hold my $700 doll if you've never seen one in person. That's totally okay. Because to me, while I love them, and they have a lot of meaning, they're just dolls. If they break, I'll try and find a replacement part. If not, I'll write it into their story, or I'll just have to deal with it, because I made the conscious decision to hand over my $700 doll to a newbie in the hobby. I also feel like if you want a good thing, you have to support a good thing. Again, I really don't want to sound like I'm pandering, and it's not my intention at all. I want people to know where my intentions lay. I want to be honest with everybody, and I want them to understand what I'm thinking about when I do the things that I'm going to do. As an artist, I've done artist alleys, and I've seen in the past few years the hardship that a lot of private private businesses, I guess is the word I'm looking for, not owning, of artists and people who have small businesses who sell to these specialized niche communities. And they're suffering, and in turn, you might think this is not related, but it is kind of related. It is hurting everybody. I've seen a lot of people who will go to a convention and they won't even buy a ticket for the convention. And to me, it seems counterproductive. If you're at a convention, you're there because you like to be there. You're there because perhaps you like the events. You're there to see your friends, yes, but you're there because there's this thing that you want to do, and it's got lots of other things that you want to do. And people put a lot of hard work into doing this, and you're feeling upset that now they make the entire area squared off, and you absolutely need a ticket to even be in the building. And I understand that people have hard times, and sometimes things are not doable. But I also feel that you need to support what you love. If you have an artist, you need to support. And I'm not saying, like, you should be buying something from this person every week. No. I just think you should make a sincere effort to express your gratitude, either with a monetary purchase or just by spreading the word. Spreading the word for somebody does not cost a dime. And so now you're wondering how this relates to the BJD hobby. Like I was saying before, I feel this is a hobby that everyone is in love with. I'm guessing would be a safe word to use. And we need to foster that in future generations if we want this hobby to exist. Barbie's been around for, I don't know, what is it, 40, 70 years, something like that? Probably more. I could be wrong. And she's had a fan following forever. Now, Mattel is always, as of late, writing about how they're not doing so well. Barbie's not very popular anymore. She's always under critique for being too skinny or not idealistic for small children. And I think the world's lost sight of what a plaything like a doll means. And yes, there are Barbie that are not meant to be playthings. But in general, it started off as a plaything. So, last year I made a video, if you've been with me for a while, about wanting to go to a convention of a friend of mine's in California. I could not afford to go, so I did not go. And I really, really wanted to go because, not just because I've never met this friend in person and I've known her for, I don't know, probably as long as I've been in the BJD hobby, at least 5 years at the very least. And so to me it was like a win-win, triple win situation of, I get to go to a place I've never been and I love to travel. I get to meet my friend whom I've been talking to for a million years and haven't had a chance to ever meet before. And I get to go to a strictly, completely, and utterly BJD convention. Now, it was a smaller event, and it was only for one day, but I was willing to make a vacation of it because, I mean, come on, it's California. I'm sure I can find something else to do for a couple of days. But I couldn't do that, I couldn't afford it, so that came and went. They had a really good time, they had a decent turnout, and I'm very happy for them. In the meantime, I tried supporting them with what I could. I put it in my DOA signature as, you know, to advertise for them, and every once in a while I would bump their thread and things like that. The little things that I could do without having the money to help them out. That comes to this year. And again, please don't think I'm pandering or trying to make light or steal anyone's thunder or anything like that. That is totally not my intention. It is not in my personality whatsoever to do things like that. But this year, well, I guess it's been going on for 4 years. The Atlanta BJD convention was going on, and some friends of mine decided that they were going to go. I hadn't decided to go yet because, you know, I'm in a financial position, or I'm not in a financial position to be able to just jump in on a decision like that anymore, like with airfare and the whole 9 yards. I could have driven up. I had options, but I digress. I couldn't just make the decision right on the spot. Some friends of my friends were flying into Atlanta BJD Con, and I know some of them had been there before, most of them had not. And we all thought it sounded a great plan. It was going to be an awesome vacation. Then we got the sad news that they had canceled the convention. And we all kind of sat around virtually because, like I said, we're all over the place. And we were kind of like, that sucks. It really sucks because what it really boils down to is that there wasn't enough support from collectors. And I mean, there were other reasons, I'm sure, to it. But to me, it's kind of like, it's the same thing as the anime conventions, where it's mostly it's economy and money and things like that. But there were, I'm assuming, other reasons as well. But it's just overall disappointing. And we were all sitting and talking and trying to figure out, well, a couple of us have airfare that is non-refundable. A couple of us already took vacation days off, so now what? If you remember, a couple of months ago, I made kind of a vague post, but with some intentional questions, I guess I should ask. My group of BJD collectors, like I said, were scattered all around, and there was always disappointment. Like, I wanted to go to Dollism really bad. But again, flying out to New York was not going to happen. There was just no way I could afford the airfare and the hotel and the con, and, you know, even if it meant being a kid in a candy store without any change to buy a piece of candy. It just wasn't going to happen. And then I couldn't go to the one in California. That wasn't going to happen. So here I was this year, and that wasn't going to happen. A BJDC, or, yeah, Atlanta BJD convention. Now, sadly, that one is not going to happen. They do have intentions of starting again, and we look forward to that. But because of our continual disappointment in the fact that most BJD conventions were in New York, they were in Texas, they were in California, they were in Canada, they were... So I think Dole North is in Canada, isn't it? Or is it, like, just below the Canadian border? I don't remember. My point is, us down here, the Floridians, there's never anything down here. We got plenty of anime conventions, you know, that we do, and that kind of is hurting things. But I digress. So, what started off as a joke was, hey, we should do our own con. And then after a couple of weeks of chit-chatting about it, we were like, maybe this can do it. Maybe this is doable. But we had no serious plans in the works whatsoever. Then the Atlanta BJD con cancellation came up. And I will preface this by saying I have spoken to some of the people from that convention. So, again, I'm not promoting myself. I'm not trying to pander attention or anything like that. I have gone through proper channels. And in fact, we would like to work with them in the future to help them, and in turn they want to help us. So that's really cool. Because obviously Atlanta's not that far from Florida, so it would be awesome for everyone to work together. So I had friends who now had vacation plans with nowhere to go. And so we kind of got this crazy idea to throw, obviously because it was so short time frame, we can't do like a whole flat out like actual convention. We can't have vendors. We can't have, I mean, we could if somebody wanted to volunteer their time, but we can't have like this huge convention space or anything like that. So we decided to host a BJD retreat. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're in the process of looking into a resort in Orlando, Florida, because we discovered that should there be anybody who still has their plane ticket or is non-refundable, that you can, for a minimal fee, transfer your flight from one major airport to another major airport. And Orlando is a major city with lots of attractions, so maybe it would be of interest to somebody other than BJDs to go to Orlando. So, we're doing a BJD retreat. What this means is we're basically going to rent out some rooms. We may or may not have a room block. It depends on interest because this is so last minute. If we have a room block, the rooms will obviously be cheaper. If not, they're still going to be affordable. The resort we're looking at, and we use the word resort, but it's kind of an older resort, so it's not an expensive, oh my god, resort. But the amenities look nice, and all the rooms are suite rooms, so like you can get a 1 or 2 bedroom room, and there's like a kitchenette or a full kitchen. I'm not recalling correctly entirely all the details. What does this mean? We would like to go up for the same weekend as the Atlanta BJD convention. Like I said, we already spoke to them, so. And we just want to host a friendly get-together. As of right now, it would be free to the public. They would just be asked to cover their own expenses, such as like getting a hotel room. And getting a hotel room would be strongly encouraged, just because if you do, it would make the rooms cheaper. But I understand that people who live in Orlando probably wouldn't want to rent a hotel because they live in Orlando. But it might be fun to have a doll sleepover, so you never know. We are planning on doing a couple of events. Depending on the turnout of people interested, we may have like a rented media space, what's the word I'm looking for, a conference room. If not, we're planning on hosting the panels in the suites. It seems a little counterproductive, but we figure if it's a small group of like 20 or 30 people at most, and that's probably like on the high end of our expectations, we should be able to, in a 2-bedroom, like small house, condo-ish looking hotel room, be able to do some talks. We're planning on a how to build BJD furniture panel, and that would be a hands-on panel. We're planning a how to make like a needle felt friend, like either as a pet or a toy, so like, you know, like a little bunny or a hamster. We are planning a tea party. It'll probably be a simple like dessert and beverage tea party, but nonetheless a little tea party. We might have a scavenger hunt, and since we probably would not have any vendors for the event, what we've decided to do is offer room sales, which is popular in the fashion doll world, where you offer up your room at a set time of your choosing, and you lay out everything that you wish to bring for sale and sell it. We might have a designated time to do just like a swap, like, hey, bring your stuff that you don't want anymore and see if anybody's interested in swapping for something else. We want to have like just a general meet and greet where we just hang out and meet everybody, make connections, and just make new friends. Our hope is that this is an event that is very low key, it's casual, no fanfare, anything like that, but that it fosters the idea of supporting each other, of encouraging the love between fellow doll collectors, and encouraging hopefully the future, and putting the best foot forward for further events. I am perfectly happy to continue considering, and I know everybody else is with me amongst my group of everyone that's helping to plan this, in the thought that we totally would like to do bigger and better things. So we hope that by hosting a smaller event, which it'll be basically kind of like a BJD party, a sleepover, where we're all hanging out in a cool town on vacation, and we're just gonna talk about dolls. We're gonna geek out about dolls, and we're gonna hopefully teach people some new things, and we'd like to offer some more panels. Volunteers are always welcome, because as of right now there's only like 2 or 3 of us offering to do panels, so while we have a long list of things we'd like to cover, we're not entirely sure if people want to hear from the exact same 2 people. So this video is very long-winded. I'm going to take Ann Picaro's idea and post a recap video after this. So with everything said, I will put the link in the description for this event. so that you can check it out on Facebook and or Den of Angels. So with that being said, I hope this sounds interesting to you, and I guess I will talk to you guys later. Bye.